Thank you very much for being with us. We're going to carry on where we left off last week. My guest in the studio is the Honourable Dr. Carm Mifsud, Bonnici. The topic we addressed last week was corruption, and we're going to carry on from there. I thank you for your comments and your requests for some questions that you sent in. Thank you for joining me once again.
It's a pleasure.
Do you have any follow-up from where we left last time, just to introduce before we start speaking to our guests?
I followed what is happening in the Montenegrin Parliament, and it is evident that the issue is being brought up very courageously by members of the opposition requesting information from government, and information which is not forthcoming, which is extremely serious and grave and should be addressed. So I hope that tonight we have the opportunity to extend our solidarity and support to the opposition in this country, and also to see what is happening in even more detail with regards to their democratic institutions.
Yes. There was a clip that was being spread over the internet with Mr. Milic, who joined us last week.
I saw that.
And he actually addressed the people of Malta in the Montenegrin Parliament.
Yes.
They usually obviously speak their own language, but he spoke in English just to address. I thought that was very thoughtful, really.
Yes, I for a moment I doubted whether it was in Parliament, because, as you rightly said, he spoke in English, but his message was very clear, and it is a legitimate question asking government to give access to information, to give access to files, and also that whoever is in any manner involved should come clear as fast as possible.
Yes.
And the major role players in government should also act in transparency to show whether they have any form of connection to this scandal or not.
Yes, they seem very adamant in wanting to repatriate any funds that
it's a legitimate request.
They are, really, so.
It's more than a legitimate request, because these are funds which are the legitimate ownership of the Montenegrin country, and obviously we should help them in any manner in order that this claim is brought to fruition.
Yes, absolutely, and it will probably benefit our country also in the long term.
It always benefits our country in the diplomatic relations, and also to establish that such matters, such contracts, such agreements, such methodology of doing things should never be accepted.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're joined now by another member of parliament from Montenegro, from the opposition party, Dr. Abazovic. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Abazovic is also the president of the United Reform Party. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, and best regards from Montenegro for people of Malta.
Thank you. Thank you for pursuing this. Your fellow MP, Mr. Milic, last week specifically spoke about Malta and referred to it as a bridge. And Malta acted as a bridge, he said, to actually get these transactions, these scandalous transactions, to back up this project at the Mozura wind farm. Can you tell us, we've spoken again this morning, you and I, how is the connection between Malta, 17 Black, and also the other companies that were trying to bid for the wind park before Malta came along?
Yes, of course. In Montenegro, this topic was like a taboo until maybe 1 month ago, when NGOs and opposition starting to speak very clearly about corruption and the very bad agreement between Montenegrin government and Malta. I, coming from the Ulci city, when Možura is, and wind park Možura is here very near to my house. And what we want to say is that for us, like a politician and like a opposition and like a representative of the people, the most important thing is that our government made very bad contract with a lot of benefits for foreign investors. After all what you open in the Malta and after the murder of your journalist, your famous journalist Galizia, here starting to think what's happening in Možura deal. The most important thing is that we represent in two press conferences, and that press conference make a lot of space in the public opinion. Is that Montenegrin government try to don't mention in any documents the Cifidex company which buy the wind park Možura from Fersa. They don't want to mention in any communication, in any public statement, in any documents. For the Montenegrin government, Cifidex, like a company, is not existing, which is something which is scandalous, which is unusual, and we, like opposition, starting investigation and coming to the documents which are signed in the Montenegro, which are translated in the Montenegro, which are under our Ministry of Finance when Cifitex by the Ena Malta in the December 29 of 2015. In official document of government of Montenegro, they mention that Ena Malta joined and buy the Možura wind park in the 25 October of 2015. So 2 months before they buy the job from the Cifidex. And this is unnormal. This is really something which we, like the opposition, try to represent to our public opinion that something is wrong and something is out of law. Because before 29 of December, Ena Malta is it was not owner of the job or the project of wind park Možura, and an official government statement, an official document of Ministry of Economy in Montenegro explaining that they go to the job 2 months before in the October of 2015. Where is the problem? The key problem is when we think that there is corruption is the benefit which government of Montenegro give by the contract to the investor of wind park Možura. So citizen of Montenegro with a belt of electricity power will pay 115 million euros subvention for the companies who selling the energy from Možura wind park. So that was the reason why we have Cifitex like a company which coming out of all this paper. And after you opened in Malta investigation, we just know that also another company from Dubai, Black 70, give the loan to the Cifitex to buy the job. They make transaction in very short period, so Cifitex get the loan from the Black 17, buy from the Fersa, from the Fersa job in Možura, and after that, just few months later, send that from 4 million to 10 million euros to Ena Malta. So people in Montenegro should know how was this situation, who was involved, and we want to have open parliamentary investigation about this. And I just want to support your guest, Dr. Bonnici, who is in the studio, to say that also we waiting for Parliament from Malta to be very open in these cases and to make maybe some common cooperation. But is one very important thing which maybe just for your opinion to understand the situation in Montenegro. Montenegro is the country which never changed the government, never in history of the country. So for the last 30 years, after the crashing of communism, in our country, it's led by one party and one leader. So when you have this comparison with some countries which are in the east, you can see a lot of similarity. And that people who represent our country, like officials, I wanted to mention Mr. Djukanovic, who is now the president, who was 6-time prime minister of Montenegro and who signed agreement with Helena Malta, that is one of the person who is a lot of have a lot of connection with all this things what's happened around wind park Možura. So
Thank you.
Just to end, I speaking maybe using lot of time. Just to end, to make like a conclusion, it's hard to expect from the corrupted and non-professional institution in Montenegro to make some open investigation in these cases. That is the reason why we asking also Malta, but also European Commission to give us support and to see what's happened in all this project.
Yes, thank you. It's obviously very complex. Just very briefly, there is another similarity which our country is going through. I refer to your healthcare service and the involvement of Vitals Global in 2018 and again Steward Healthcare more recently, where the business model that was used in Malta was being proposed for Montenegro. Just very briefly, your comments on that, please.
It was the same person was involved in the project of Možura wind park and about the selling of healthcare system. There are two key persons. One is the president of Montenegro, Milo Djukanovic, and second is the foreign minister of tourism and environment, and now he is the vice president of the parliament, Mr. Branimir Gvozdenovic. So they are two persons who are involved in every big project in Montenegro. When we get that information that we can sell our probably possibility to sell our healthcare system to the Malta, to the Malta's companies, a lot of people publicly and the opposition and NGOs speaking against that, and that was not the story which was very high in our public agenda. So after short periods, they just or stand by with that, or just step back and they don't promote that idea anymore in public.
Sure. But there's another part to that story, and I hope we speak about it next week. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your comments, another similarity.
Another similarity, and you understand the complications which are involved in these two cases, but it goes to show that when people are in power, then, as they say, power corrupts, and the absolute power corrupts absolutely. From what we have been hearing, the fact that there is a party in government for such a long period of time has its disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages is precisely that it is easier and there are stronger temptations for persons to commit acts which are illegal, criminal, and stem from corruption.
Yes. Yeah. These people have taken, though, a stance, and they
need to be supported.
Yes.
Today, I think that we can understand better the scenario, the milieu in which they are working politically, because they stand a very tough challenge in order to manage to bring out the truth, which can be a threat to the people in power. And I think that we should continue these programs and we should explore better how we can really do some form of cooperation between members of our opposition with members of the opposition in Montenegro with the view of getting clarity for us and for them, and obviously who is responsible politically has to come forward and to pay the political price which is necessary in such circumstances.
I mean, we need a lot of programs because the transactions are very complex.
Yes, they are.
The back-to-back contracts are very complex.
And it is a bit difficult to explain on television to lay people the complexities of the financial activities which are made. But the manner in which, on reading the documents, in which the transactions are made, go to show that there is something which is not clear, and there are points which have not come to the light and which were intended originally in order never to appear in the daylight.
Absolutely. And that's why we have to take it bit by bit on TV, I think.
Sure.
Because people can understand more. We have another guest today, a lawyer, legal expert on anti-corruption, Dr. Helena Papa. Good evening, Helena.
Good evening. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I can't see you. It seems I can't see you, but I think we will very soon.
I can see very well, but I don't know what's going on with the, oh, okay. Probably it's a matter.
It's okay.
It's better, that's better.
We'll sort it out very soon. I'd like to speak about conflicts of interest in general, and how do conflicts of interest affect leadership when there are so many complicated cases like we have. I know you've been reading up about our country and what's going on.
Yes, indeed, I have, and it's a very interesting. You've got very interesting cases, though unfortunate, not. Cases that make let's say, a great honor to your country, but still, hopefully you will manage to solve all these questions of conflict of interest soon. So before talking about the conflict of interest and the way how it damaged the leadership, I think that the most important thing is, first of all, for the audience to understand what is a conflict of interest. So a conflict of interest involves a conflict between public duty and private interest, especially where private interest could improperly influence the public interest, activities, and decision-making. However, conflict of interest is not always, let's say, a corruption matter. The difference between corruption and conflict of interest is because corruption, and this is for the public use, is to use public office for personal gain. But the conflict of interest is the performance of public duty where the official has a private interest. In certain cases, conflict of interest does not involve always corruption. So we have the cases where an official should take a decision where he's got a private interest, but he still takes and makes honest and transparent decision-making. And there are other cases where the public official will take a decision anyways, but he still take a bribe because he's got this idea of using the public office for personal gain. To go back to your question, and that's to the damage that conflict of interest causes to the leadership, I may say that we can see it in two different angles. First, in the personal perspective, and then in a more general one. So in the personal perspective, what damages the leadership is its personal reputation, because citizens expect from a public official or leader to act in such a way to protect first the, let's say, the public interest. And if such a thing does not happen, then, and this because of a conflict of interest, then the public will create a perception that this leader is not reliable. So all his decision making from that moment and on that this leader is involved in conflict of interest will be scrutinized by the public because of this, let's say, it can be a mistake or decision of the leader to be involved in conflict of interest for personal gain.
Thank you very much, Helena. Thank you. I'm getting.
I just wanted.
Yes, please do. Yes, please do wind up.
I just want to add another thing, and then I will end that. This was only in the personal level, but the damage can be caused in much broader sense, because when a conflict of interest is involved, then the public will also not only not believe anymore in the leader, but also in the institution that this leader represents. Also in the government this individual represents. So also in the political class this individual belongs to, and in the democratic system itself.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you very much. I hope we'll see you soon again. Thank you. That was Dr. Helena Papas. She's an anti-corruption expert. To conclude, we have a lot of
we do.
conflicts of interest here. People are always, they've sent in quite a lot of questions about the public inquiry of the assassination of Daphne Caruana Galizia.
Yes.
To round off, Dr. Mifsud Bonnici, could you perhaps, in a nutshell, explain how the conflicts of interest can compromise the public inquiry that's going on?
They can, because they don't allow the truth to emerge. And conflicts of interest have also a different agenda from that of what a normal lawsuit and a normal investigative body should lead to. So people would have the idea of using this forum in order to deflect attention and also to hide certain points and to make sure that what are the main issues are kept back. This is a trap which we have to be on our guard. Thank you.
I thank you very much again for coming today and for coming regularly here with us. I'm with the Honourable Dr. Carm Mifsud Bonnici. I hope to see you again next week, same time, same place. I wish you a good weekend, good evening.